How's it going, guys? Collin, Sector 17 in Mach 1 Art. This is Elms 1 sector. We are the artists that painted the wall behind us. We met 20 years ago. Yeah, we met skateboarding, and we've just kind of had common interests through skateboarding and painting and snowboarding and hip hop and whatnot. But yeah, we've been painting together collaboratively for 15-ish years. So this wall is based on themes of historical elements around Nampa and the surrounding area. Basically, we just looked at elements from the agricultural sector to actual businesses that have been in this area in the last 50 years or so. Referencing the library itself and kind of bringing it all together in a way that is somewhat surreal, but also very grounded in what's going on around here. We painted this, what was it, April?
Seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago. As far as like the length of the project, we were out here for about a month working against the challenges such as the wind. Wind was kind of hassle to work around when you're working with spray paint on a wall and you're trying to put the paint where you think it's supposed to go and it ends up going over here because the gusts are too much. Kind of have to sit it out, wait for those gusts to die down. Other than that, there weren't too many challenges. Pretty straightforward process. Sketch it all out, block it in, and layer the details on top.
And some cool conversations with people that pass by and see the progress from week to week and comment on different experiences they've had, or they were working in the fields, or their dad owned a truck like this one here, or just kind of engaging in a way that I think really is how we envisioned this wall working in the first place. So that was cool to see. Tying it in with the other two pieces that are in this series, one in Meridian and one in Boise, and having a common theme that reflect the individual communities, and I think it all came together pretty well.
Thank you for joining us for This is Nampa Junior with artist Collin Pfeifer. Collin created these spectacular paintings located on the 3rd floor in the Nampa Historical section of the Nampa Public Library. He also created the fabulous mural on the Nampa City Parking Garage on the wall facing 11th Avenue. Thank you so much for joining us today, Collin.
Thanks for having me.
We're so excited you're here. I've been wanting to meet the person who did this.
Yes, well, I'm glad I could be here today and talk about art.
Great, that's what I like to talk about.
Perfect.
Okay, well, I thought I'd start off asking you, please tell us about your experience with painting and how you were introduced to painting.
Yeah, so I feel like I've been painting for a long time, since I was a little kid. My great-grandma was a pretty prolific oil painter. So growing up, I would watch her, do landscape paintings with oils, and we would watch Bob Ross together. So I have a lot of fond memories hanging out with her and just kind of being intrigued by color and I don't know, just different images and whatnot. And so I've kind of just kept painting, when I took basic art classes in high school, and just kept plugging away at it. I started doing this type of work about 15 years ago. Kind of grew up skateboarding and listening to a lot of hip hop music, and graffiti was something that attracted me to just painting on things. And so that has evolved quite a bit from doing that to what I do now, which is paint murals full time. I've been doing that for almost 10 years now. And yeah, I think, anytime I see a blank wall, my gears start going, and I'm like, okay, what can go on there? How can I get something on that wall and something that the community will enjoy as well? So I don't know, I love painting. It's kind of therapeutic in certain ways, and from generating ideas to actually doing the work, it's fun. It's a fun time.
That's so awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, Bob Rouse is an inspiration, isn't he?
Yeah, to many people, he really is.
And great grandmothers too.
Yeah.
Your great grandmother.
Great grandmother, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was a phenomenal artist. So
That is so
Yeah.
cool. Do you have some of her paintings hanging in your house?
my mom has a couple of them in the house, and then I believe my aunt has a few others. But it's just the memories that before she passed away, I was about 17 or 18 years old, and that was the last time I saw her. She stayed with my mom for my graduation, and I'd come over there, and she would just be, sketching away on little canvases and stuff. She didn't use brushes very much. She used a lot of palette knives, so she was just like putting paint to make, flowers. She would do like realistic looking roses and stuff off the top of her head. So.
Can you please tell us about these spectacular paintings in the Nampa Historical section?
Yes, so these were part of a call to artists that I applied for last year, and it kind of went through a process. I wouldn't say jury, but it was kind of a competitive form where they selected 3 artists, and then we had to present our ideas to the committee. And I was fortunate enough to receive this project, and basically it's just my approach to Nampa's history. There's a lot to draw from when it comes to the city and the Treasure Valley, and the items that I wanted to focus on were the natives that were here prior to us coming, and the railroad. Those were a lot of, and agriculture. So those elements I was able to combine together into this collage style painting, and a lot of archival photos I was able to draw from the library, which was nice. It's good to use original references when you're creating a piece of work. So yeah, I did my best to create this, and it was fun. It was, I think, from start to finish about like an 8-week endeavor, and I built the panels from scratch, and then sanded them, primed them, prepped them, and then actually painted them with spray paint and a combination of acrylics. And yeah, I had a great time doing it, and I was very fortunate to be here and get selected for this project.
That is so great. You said you created the pallets from scratch. Like, what kind of material are the pallets made of?
So I like to, when I'm doing interior projects, if I can't paint on site, or it's just logistics for pushing fumes in and out of buildings, I have a studio, and they're built from just 1x2 inch like burring sticks, and then 1/4 inch sanded plywood, and then yeah, just do your best to get everything square and glued down and nailed properly, and then let those things set for a day, and then start sanding away.
So it's wood. It's a wood.
Yeah, it's all like wood
surface.
substrate. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like with wood, it doesn't sag over time. Like when you stretch canvas, stretch it too tight or not tight enough, the canvas can, be a little floppy and saggy, and over time just kind of doesn't hold that tension that it should. And stretching canvases that big is really hard to do by yourself. But I want to say these are about 5 feet by 8 feet, if I'm not mistaken. So 5 feet tall, 8 feet wide, somewhere in that range. So I just think it looks a little bit more professional. Kind of has some more gallery feel to it, since they aren't like specifically framed with like an ornate frame or more decorative stuff. But this is the style that I've kind of been doing for my canvas work, doing for interior projects and whatnot.
That's so interesting. I was wondering when you painted the owl, did you know that the library mascot is an owl named Ollie?
I wasn't aware of that, but is it Karen? What's her name? The old director of the library.
Oh, yeah.
I did some research because we were kind of wanting to give a nod to her as well, and I found that her Twitter name was Reader Owl or something like that, so I picked the Western Barn Owl. They're native to the Treasure Valley in Nampa. Just, it's owls and reading, they kind of go together, so
Cool.
yeah.
That is so great. What what do you like best about these paintings? Like, what's your favorite part?
My favorite part was probably painting the train. I don't know, I've been intrigued by trains since I was a little kid. I had little HO scales that I built and whatnot, and I don't know, it's still, for how old they are and their purpose, they're still used widely to this day. And I think that, you know, Nampa was definitely built around that. It had a huge influence in the history here. So that was probably my favorite part, although I just love painting in general. So really the whole project was fun from start to finish. But yeah, it's a good time.
So I just can't believe, like, when I found out this was like spray paint, I'm like, what? How can you
Yeah.
how can you spray paint and make detail like that? I mean, it's just so amazing.
Nowadays there's so many brands of spray paint that are specific for artwork, and the brands, different types of paint that are out there, they have every color you can think of, and then the cans are lower pressure cans, so the paint sprays out really evenly, and you can blend colors a lot better. And then even from the sketch process, from the beginning, you're putting your first lines down, it's really easy to use. There's a learning curve to it, but I mean, I've been using spray paint for 15 years, kind of get the hang of it over time. So, they make different nozzles and stuff, so you can spray really big areas, you can spray really smaller areas and whatnot. There's techniques too, but it's really like, it's just like any other form of art. It's a layering process. Sketch out your work first, and you kind of build those layers out.
So you do sketch all of the painting first?
I'll sketch it out with the spray paint. Yeah, so I just look at my reference, whatever I'm using, creating. I'll look at that. I'll hold it up, close one eye, hold it up, step back, and just kind of scale it to the canvas, and then make some points. They're just like connect the dots.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a unique process. Some people would have used a projector. I think that's cheating. Especially if it's on a scale that they're big paintings, but for what I do for mural work, this is like smaller scale stuff. So yeah, I figure if you can just walk up to a canvas and translate the image that you're looking at here onto that, that's, you know, it's a process, it's a technique. So yeah, I encourage all artists to do that. Don't cheat. I mean, but yeah, you know,
no tracing,
no tracing, no projections. Yeah.
Okay, well, were there any challenges with these paintings? Did you have any challenges that you had to overcome?
I feel like every project I tackle has its challenges, and even for how long and comfortable and confident I feel for projects. This one was the hanging portion, because I was building the canvases in my studio, and the mounting hardware I put on, like, you have to do a lot of math to make sure that it's going to be centered in the space, and measure it all out, and that your paintings are going to sit as level as they can, since it's a multi-panel installation. So yeah, that is challenging, and I always want to build things that aren't going to warp, or, you know, they got to sit even on the wall. I mean, there's way more logistics than just the artwork, and I would definitely say that was probably the more challenging part of this, to have to build those and then hope that they fit the way they're supposed to inside. So yeah, and with the help of one of the workers here, I was able to get that done in a few hours, and everything turned out pretty good.
Wow, it's so professional. It looks like we're in an art gallery. So you created all of the paintings in your studio first. Did you have to touch anything up when you got here, or was it all finished? You just had to hang them?
I think I just had to hang them. I did bring a little bit of extra paint just in case and things get scuffed up, but we were able to get them up here safe and sound. And you know, for how big they aren't very heavy, and all the materials I use are pretty lightweight. So you can, you know, kind of, if you have to shimmy it side to side or whatnot, you can do that pretty easily. But yeah.
Do you like to create art in other ways?
Yes, I do. I like to make music. I make like hip hop instrumentals, and that is very fun way to be creative, and I feel like it's still rooted to what I do with painting. Same thing, it's a layering process. I like to buy old records and collect records and listen to records, a lot of jazz music, and then I'll take little portions of those samples, what they call them, and then you kind of build a beat or a rhythm to it, and you know, structure them out however you want. So that's another way I like to create stuff. I feel like you can create anything you want. I think life is an art form. You know, skateboarding is what I like to do on the side. Snowboarding, being in the mountains, like, I don't know, you can get creative anywhere you go. And yeah, it's kind of my approach to life, really. So
I love that. That's so cool.
thanks.
So do you listen to music most of the time when you're painting, or all the time, or?
Yeah, I listen to music all the time I paint. I feel that helps keep me focused, and depending on the mood I'm in, I might listen to something more up-tempo, or I might just listen to some jazz music, and that kind of gets me in the zone. And it really is for focus. And I paint with my headphones in a lot, and I could be better about just painting with one headphone in, because I feel like some people might think I'm ignoring them, but really I'm not. I'm just working and I'm in the zone. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you see me painting, don't be afraid to tap on the shoulder. Just, hey, what's up?
The make your paint
Yeah,
candles.
it's all right.
Pretty
It's pretty forgiving. So yeah.
That is so cool. Yeah, I think music, when you're making art, music
Yeah,
is a good way to.
It is totally. It's for
So
sure.
the music that you put together, hip hop, how do you call that? What do you do with it?
It's like
You
an inch.
create.
Yeah, so I create like sample-based instrumentals.
Okay. Is there a way for people to hear it, or do you put it out on the internet?
I don't
or
put
is it just for
too
your own?
much of that out on the internet. It's just for me it's a hobby still, and painting started out as a hobby and then it transitioned to a job. And so I want to keep making music as a hobby. I don't want to lose. Not to say that I'm not passionate about my job anymore. It's just it's different, you know. Like the gears have shifted, and I want to be able, when I get home, if I want to, like, you know, just hang out in my garage and enjoy some music. That's kind of like my little happy place now. Because music is like, you know, that is a lot of people's job to make music for commercials or musicians or live music, and then they go perform, and that ends up being a job. And you hear about like just so much weird industry stuff that people have to go through, you know, managers, agents telling you what to create, how to do things, and it can take the fun out of it. So for me, like, making instrumentals is just, yeah, it's kind of like a happy place, just
We'll just have
therapy.
to find your garage.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
kidding.
Come on over. Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, I was going to ask, if a youth is interested in becoming an artist, how would you suggest they get started? What are some things they could do?
Depending on what they want to do, I guess just do a little research. I mean, kids nowadays have the advantage of the internet. When I was a kid, I didn't. So it was either television or reading or just studying art or figuring out what type of style you're wanting to create, and kind of doing research into that. I always, you know, advocate, if you're gonna start painting on a bigger scale, always work in a sketchbook first. Kind of get your proportions down. I mean, there's so many elements to art that, you know, could be kind of intimidating from a kid's perspective, but kids nowadays are so driven that, especially if they have the internet to kind of study and use as references, that they can learn how to do what I do. It takes some time, but, you know, you can basically do anything you want. You just have to practice a little bit, you know, kind of get an understanding of what you're trying to create, and go for it.
Have you ever thought of doing tutorial videos on YouTube, showing people how to scrape
I have.
do art?
I have, but then again, that would kind of take away from what I like to do. Like, if you're just generating your focus on something else, but focus on a different way. And I'm totally down to, like, teach kids what I know. I would just have to, you know, set the time aside and but I like to do it right. I don't want to be like just putting something together and say, hey, this is how you're gonna do it. But
It's a little harder than it looks. Some people, because I
For
know
sure.
a lot of kids use, YouTube. How do you draw a wolf or whatever?
Right.
They can just look it up.
Yeah, there's some tutorials out there for sketching, painting. I haven't seen too much for spray painting. I'm sure there are people out there teaching it. But yeah, for me, it's just I'd rather focus on actually doing the work and honing my craft.
What are some other murals and paintings you've created, and where can they be found? Where can we look for those?
So yeah, I've done a lot. The skate park in Boise, under the bridge, Rhodes Park. My partner Elms and I did that. The city center plaza walkway in downtown Boise, we did a really big wall down there. That's between the fountain and the Bass Block. There's like a breezeway right through there, and it's about a 200-foot long mural. It starts out about 35 feet, kind of tapers down on the side of the parking garage as well. Done lots of work up at Table Rock and kind of try to maintain those telecommunication buildings up there. They used to get tagged on a lot, and the city kind of reached out to us and was like, hey, if we give you access to these, would you guys mind like keeping this, refreshing the artwork when you can? So Table Rock's a good spot. We did this whole series for T-Mobile, one of which is on the side of the parking garage here in Nampa, and then there's another one in Meridian, just north of the railroad tracks, about a block, and then the last one we did was in downtown Boise, off like 6th and Main, in the historic district. We've got work all over the place.
Wow, I'd love to see all of it.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned the word tag. Can you explain what tag means?
So like tagging is like writing on something, and most people would relate it to spray painting or graffiti. That's I'm not here to encourage that, but that's how I started out, and like I said, evolved to what I do now. But yeah, it's just writing your name on a surface without permission, basically. So yeah, that's kind of really that started a long time ago. They say that hieroglyphics are a form of graffiti, like some of the first graffiti, because it is people writing a story on a wall or engraving it, carving it, what have you. But yeah, that's a whole other story.
Okay. Do you have any plans for future projects, like right now?
Yeah, currently working on a project for Bishop Kelly High School. I got a series of murals I'm doing for them right now. We've got my partner and I have some bigger projects that are in the works. Really large projects actually, which we're pretty excited about. We like painting on a big scale, that impact that it creates, and it can connect the community a little bit more than sometimes like an oil painting or something that's hanging in an office or whatnot. But yeah, we've got some pretty big projects in the works right now. It's just keeping the ball rolling, and trying to generate a job from another job. That's basically what we do. So.
Is there a website or a place families could go to look and see, like the addresses of where your projects are, or?
Not so much addresses. We post a lot of work on our Instagram accounts, and then if you go to www.sector-17 allspelledout.com, you'll find a lot of collaborative works from our crew basically, and then my individual website is www.mawk1art, MAWK1ART.com. You can see a lot of my work on there. It hasn't been updated in about a year.
It's been too busy.
Yeah, it's something I could do in the winter time. But yeah, you'll see a lot of our work on there, and we painted all over the Treasure Valley and whatnot. So yeah.
What's your Instagram account name?
My Instagram account is at Macaroni, MAWKARONI.
Cool.
Yeah.
Macaroni. Not macaroni.
Not macaroni. I love macaroni. It's a play on words.
Okay, I'm excited to ask this question. If you had the chance to meet any artist, past or present, Who would it be and why?
There's a lot of artists out there. I would probably have to say Salvador Dali. His work is insane, in a good way. Like he just took crazy subject matter and manipulated it to create a unique style, surrealism. And it's like combines realism and just like dreams basically, and focused a lot on time and all these different elements. And for, if I could have met that guy, I would have been, I would have been, fangirl. I was fortunate enough to visit Europe a few summers ago with my wife and her older brother, and we went to his basically museum, and we got to see all of his work in person, and that was like really inspiring. He has some really big paintings that, I was just like looking at in person, and you're like, how did he do that? And being someone that specializes in larger scale work, I was mind blown because he was using brushes, and like, those guys had techniques back then that they teach in college now, and they're still utilized to this day. But yeah, it was just pretty mesmerizing to see his work in person. So that would definitely be someone on my top list I'd like to meet. But
So what museum was that again? Do you remember?
I don't remember the name of it. It was in Spain. And can't think of the city's name off the top of my head, but it's where he's buried. He's got sketches, paintings, sculpture work. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, that's very cool. You can just probably Google it.
Yeah. Very cool.
If you go to Spain, make sure you go there. Okay, that's so cool. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I really wanted to be an architect, and that I realized had a lot of math involved, and that wasn't my favorite subject. So I switched it up, and as I got into high school and kind of was getting close to graduating, I wanted to go into visual arts, and I was able to attend Boise State for a few semesters and study some, classes to get me towards that degree. In the back of my head, I really liked painting, the idea of painting murals, but there's not a curriculum for that out there. So when I stopped attending Boise State, I switched to plumbing, started to go to plumbing school. Basically, my oldest daughter was born, and I kind of just redirected my focus towards that, and always painted on the side. And then 2008 hit, and didn't have a job anymore, so I started painting again, and just kind of transitioned to what I do now. So really, going from an architect to an artist, it is kind of an art form. Those people draw buildings, and I just paint them. So it's kind of a crazy transition.
Do you miss plumbing?
I don't. I don't. Not at all. But I do know how to do a lot of it, so it's good. It's a good trade to have on your belt, for sure.
So a lot of times when one door closes, another one opens.
Absolutely.
It's much better.
Yeah, I firmly believe that.
But we do need plumbers. It's very important.
Yes,
So,
it's very important.
yeah. Okay, what was your favorite book growing up?
Coloring books. That's really like what I like to do. Reading wasn't like my strong point. I guess reading graffiti is kind of, you're reading people's names, and that's kind of fun to decipher. It's like typography and just studying letter structure. And that to me is like my form of reading. That's what I like to read. But it goes back to just coloring and studying colors and just figuring out how to blend things smoothly. And that's, I don't know, I guess that's what I like to read.
Yeah.
It's just colors and art.
What, do you have a favorite color? Do you have?
My favorite color is probably blue. I like blues, any family blues. Like that's a color I like to work a lot in. I guess it just depends on the project too. Gray scales are fun to paint. And I think that's also a good way to like learn how to shade, is just using blacks and whites and grays. And then once you kind of get that dialed in, you can basically apply that to any family of colors, from darks to lights and mid-tones and all that fun stuff. And then you can combine them. So
I like blue too.
yeah, blue's a good color.
Blue and purple. All right. What was your favorite subject in school? I guess you kind of touched on.
I liked art, but I was also into history. I liked Western civilization history. That was always intriguing, like Greeks and Romans, and everything after that. Kind of how people left there to come here and start their own, make their own history. So.
And of course, this painting, and then we're going to go out to the parking garage. Had a lot to do with history, so you had to research.
Yeah.
And do a lot of historical research for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. I like history too. What subjects would you suggest kids take in school if they're interested in becoming an artist?
Definitely art classes. I mean, math can be important. Geometry is important. Like studying angles and connecting points, and I think that I use a lot more geometry in my work than I do anywhere else. But it really is like, for me, when I create artwork, when I'm drawing things out, I want them to be proportionally sound, and I don't want things to look unnatural. So one thing my art teacher in high school taught me, and I'll never forget, and I still use to this day, is when you're painting or drawing from a reference, or even in real time, you like try to paint what you are seeing and not what your brain is telling you to correct. A lot of the times your brain has like a template of what an eyeball is supposed to look like, and if you're painting from a photo and the eyeball doesn't look like what your brain's telling you, paint what you're looking at, not what your brain's going to tell you to fix. So that really helps when it comes to painting realism or people's portraits, because you want to achieve the likeliness of the photo and the person. Anyone can paint a portrait, but if you're trying to like make it look like somebody, that's where you have to just really focus on what you're painting, like what you're looking at, and not what you're thinking it should look like. So, and that was like some of the most useful advice I learned in my sophomore year of high school. And as I practice drawing and sketching, that's something that I always think about. So yeah, art classes, good base, and then some math.
Great.
Yeah.
Good advice. What is something you're still learning?
That's a good question. I'm always trying to push myself. So learning how to paint on a bigger scale. I'm trying to stray away from painting on too small scale stuff, because at that point you want to be using brushes and not spray paint, because it just gets really messy. I think the whole running a business as an artist is something I'm still learning, and how to market myself properly. And things are evolving so fast with technology. It's hard to keep up. So you can get good at one platform of technology that applies to your work, and then there's already a new one out. So it's really being adaptable to all these different transitions that technology brings into the art world. And so I guess that's a good start. But yeah, I mean, every day is a learning curve. For me, each project has its own learning curve. So you just have to be adaptable and willing to get those challenges done and do it right the first try. That's what, get it right the first try, and you don't have to come back and fix your mistakes. So that's some advice right there.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Please tell us about someone who inspires you and why.
I'm inspired by my friends and my family, my daughters and my wife. I mean, those are the people that I'm working to impress, but also help lay a foundation down, and just my kids teach me a lot as I'm getting older. They teach me humility, and just to stay motivated, and when things get tough, to not give up. And I feel like if I can set a good example that they're showing me to do, that perhaps they can follow in those steps. And I think that just to be inspired by anything around you as well, like your environment. Inspired by nature, that helps a lot with my artwork. It's also good for just your head is just too jumbled up. Go outside, breathe some fresh air, and you can reassess the process and try and keep moving forward. As far as one specific person, I don't know if I can think of that off the top of my head. There's too many people.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fine.
so it's mainly just, you know, being drawn from others around you, people that are close to me. That's where I find a lot of my inspiration.
So you said that your kids inspire you. How old are they?
I have two daughters. One's 14 and one's 8. And they're awesome kids. They're intelligent. They like art, which is cool. I feel like if I can show them what I like to do and make your job fun like that, that will help you be happy for the rest of your life. There's a lot of people that work jobs and they just work for a paycheck. And I feel blessed that I have this opportunity to work as an artist in Idaho. And if I can inspire others by what I do, I'm totally into that. Because I feel like I don't want to get stuck in the old 9 to 5. And that can really, just rip inspiration from people. And, it's tough. Life's a balance. So trying to find that balance is important.
Great. Well, so I just wanted these kids who are listening to realize that you guys can inspire your parents, your friends, all the people around you, just like Collin's daughters inspire him. So just remember, you have an important job, and you can inspire people. So, all right, what has been a major challenge in your life, and how did you meet this challenge?
I think working as an artist is very challenging because you have to embrace failure, and it's going to happen no matter what. The first time I tried painting full time, I lasted about 6 months, and I had to quit doing that because I ran out of work. Winter time came, slowed everything down, so I had to go back to plumbing. And when I went back to plumbing, I was totally humbled. It's like, I'm gonna have to do this. I don't want to work for somebody else again. But that was motivation because I was able to see my mistakes from that first round, trying to survive as an artist. And I was able to make some changes and then try it again. And I've been going steady since that second attempt. So it was that was a huge challenge. And you have to just to survive on art is not easy. Mural work is interesting because we have certain prices, and sometimes it can be really expensive for a project, and people get what they pay for. So I think generating income is also a big challenge. It can be, but with the Treasure Valley and Boise's growth, there's a lot more opportunities out there for us to take jobs and tackle those challenges and get through them. But yeah, I'd say those are some of the ones that I think about all the time, and because I don't want to have to go back to plumbing. But
Yeah.
So you put all your motivation into what you want to do, and that's kind of where I'm at. That's how I've made it this far, and I'm hoping I can continue to go on just using this method. So really just reap what you sow.
That first time, that you didn't quite make it, if you wouldn't have given up, you'd probably not be living the dream right now.
Right.
So it's a good thing you just got up and tried it again.
Yeah, you gotta dust yourself off and keep pressing forward. So
Good. Well, I'm glad you did.
me too.
Otherwise, we might not have these.
Might not have these and a few other ones around town, so.
All right. Well, what do you feel has been your greatest accomplishment?
I would say, just to be able to sit down here and talk to you guys about what I do, that's a huge accomplishment for me. And to have made it this far painting and, just going from a kid who likes skateboarding and hip hop and graffiti to now, 20 years later-ish, I'm here working full time as an artist. I think that's a pretty big accomplishment. It's something I'm proud of. And as long as I keep pushing myself, I'll, keep having that motivation to keep moving forward. So I would say that's definitely one of them. Just being able to provide for my family out of art, that really is that's what I do. So
So great. Good job.
thanks. Appreciate it.
We're proud of you.
Thanks.
Why is it important for children to experience art?
To me, it should just be a standard. That's something that kids should just gravitate towards. I know there are some people that just don't like art, and that's okay, but I think it's important because it helps create a well-rounded individual. I mean, you can study books and be book smart and all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you infuse art into something, it kind of puts a different lens on those subjects. And I think, you know, if kids can get that at a young age, whether it's starting out in a coloring book or working with watercolors or just an introduction to paint, I think that just helps get those like creative juices flowing. And you can get creative about writing an essay or doing a math equation. I mean, like, or just anything really. And I don't know. I think art is great for that. Just helping people see things through a different lens. And yeah, that's important to me. I think it should be, you know, taught. And it's like I said, not everyone's gonna like it. It might not be. You know, a lot of people are like, I can't draw a stick figure. I'm like, well, how much practice have you put into drawing a stick figure? You know, and then it's like, just, yeah, I guess it's the attitude and the approach. And if you can teach kids early that art is fun, being creative is totally rad, and like, I think that sets them up pretty good for their future. And approaching all sorts of other, you know, subjects. So, yeah.
Great. I agree. I'm a big advocate for arts and education. So, and you know, art includes music and theater and visual arts. There's so many different aspects of art. So, thank you so much.
Sure.
What parting words of wisdom would you leave with us today?
Try your best to be humble, like moving forward in life. I mean, maintaining humility is really important. Like, ego is a really crazy thing, and it can like cloud up a lot of just vision for people, and just, you know, just if you set your mind to something, like, yeah, you're gonna fall down, you're gonna have some issues, hurdles you got to get through, but once you press through all that stuff, like once you get to that light at the end of the tunnel, you know, I think that helps build people's experience in life, and just way to tackle challenges. Yeah, I think that's all important, but I think my main thing is just humility. And no matter how good you are at something, like, you still can get better at it, and if you can show that to other people, I think that can help inspire people. And especially nowadays, like, there's so much stuff that goes on in the world, I think people tend to forget about being humble and, I mean, have confidence. Like, yeah, be confident in yourself, but also like that balance between humility and confidence is very important. So, yeah, and just tackle those challenges head on.
Great. That is so wonderful. I've learned a lot from Collin today, and I hope you have too. It's been so great to be here with him, and we're so thankful, Collin. Thank you for taking the time out to share with us. And
Absolutely.
if you guys haven't seen the paintings on the 3rd floor of the library in the historical section, they are amazing. They look great now, but they look even better in person. So, and of course, the parking garage, make sure you take a look at that. And again, we wish you all the best, Collin.
Thanks.
And thank you so much for everything you've taught us today and shared with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And thanks for joining us for This is Nampa Junior. We hope you'll watch our other Nampa Junior videos, and we will see you at the library.